welcome back to The Profitable Programmer. Excited to have you back. We just covered functions, how to make squares with functions. That's the beautiful part of functions, right? So nice. They're so amazing and powerful. And what we're gonna do now is learn how to add arguments inside of functions. And all it means is you can control more things with your functions. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Now, before I move further, and you're just like, Kazi, we're just making little squares and playing with tiny little kid code. This stuff I'm showing you to make it very simple. Then later when we're building real world portfolios, real world projects and apps using big frameworks like Django and Flask, because you have strong fundamentals, all of that is going to be easier. And here we're using a lot of visuals so you can quickly learn of and understand what I'm talking about. So then when we move on to more advanced stuff, it will be easy for you to follow. Okay, so don't think of this as something that's beneath you. Very important to get your basics right. So let's keep on going. And let's talk about how to add arguments inside of functions. Now, imagine I want to be able to control this 90 to something else. So yeah, I can do, let's say I want to go forward by, 150, right? Everywhere. 150, 150, 150, and 150. Right? So now what it did is allowed us to make bigger squares. Why don't I make my life easier and make it something that's really easy to control? So instead of having to change it in 4 different places, how about we only have to change it in one place? So here's what we can do. We can just call this like length and call this length. Now notice we don't have a variable called length, so if you try to run it now, you're going to get an error. But what we'll do is we'll put length here. Okay, so what we're saying is that this function square takes in something called length. So now every time you run this function, you can't just give it empty parentheses. You have to put something inside of those parentheses. So for length, what we'll put in is 150. And 150 here as well. Okay, if you try to run it without it, you're gonna get an error. And the error says, let's see what it says. Let's go to console over instead of result, console. It says square takes exactly 1 argument, 0 given. So it's like, hey man, I was expecting a number, but you didn't give me anything. It's like if you're on Amazon and you don't put in your address when you're getting a shipping, right? So you've missed a parameter or an argument. So it's kind of like that. So what I'm going to put here is I'm just going to give it 150. Okay, and I'm going to give, and to simplify it right now, I'm just going to remove these lines. Okay, so notice what's happening here. I'm saying that square, and I'm saying make the length 150. So everywhere it sees length, it's going to turn that into 150. So essentially, it will change this to 150, this to 150, this to 150, this to 150 in one full swoop instead of having to write it multiple times. So watch what happens when I run this code. Boom, you get that juicy, perfect square. Now what happens if I change this to 200? Are you going to get a bigger square or a smaller square? Wrong, you're going to get a bigger square. I know you were slacking and didn't pay attention. Let me catch you off guard again. What is this going to do? Bigger square, smaller square. Now let me catch you off guard again. What is this going to do? If I divide this by 2 and run it. Bigger square, smaller square. Quick. Smaller square. Because 120 divided by 2, you get 60. Okay? So that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to touch on basic math you can do in Python. Okay? And this is going to be important later on. So thanks for watching, and we're going to cover basic math, and I'll see you in the next video.